taking time tonight. We appreciate you. And I was saying before with this all got started that I love having people on. It's such a privilege to have people on who work in the medical community, in the medical field. I'm blue collar as they come, truck driver. I can't pronounce half the medical terms you guys use on a daily basis. And I love you guys. I love it when you come on and you help us to learn a little bit so everybody can be a little more successful. So for those that may not know who you are, if you could give us like a little bio of you one more time, if you don't mind, please.
Of course. I am the Snarky Pharmacist. My name is Lauren. I'm a clinical pharmacist and I am certified in pain management. But beyond that, I also have complex regional pain syndrome type 2 in my left leg. So I live with chronic pain every single day. And I started doing TikTok, honestly, as a video diary to myself, and in the process have met some really awesome people that I don't think I would have had a chance to connect with otherwise. So I'm happy to be here.
It's crazy how that works. I started a year ago because I got done with a horrendous doctor's appointment with Dr. Pena here in Granbury, Texas, the worst pain doctor I've ever experienced in my life. And I just vented and just vomited, and the next thing I know, that video had like 25,000 views, and I went from like 300 followers to like 4,000, and I'm like, holy crap. Wow. You know, I guess I'm not alone in this, and this is where we are today. So y'all, tonight we got some, I mentioned before we got started, 3 topics that we can possibly discuss, and I think these are 3 topics, again, that I would refer to as third rail because they seem to be avoided in the community quite heavily. Number one, I really, really desperately in my heart and soul want to start to redefine the term, the gold standard of healthcare, and move that way from a pill to a more whole body approach and what works specifically for an individual, whether it works for me or not. If it works for you, that should be your gold standard of healthcare. Suboxone, buprenorphine, oof. Man, just saying that's going to get this whole live restricted right there.
There it goes.
And then I guess I'm going to start out tonight. The third topic is, I mentioned this in a video the other day, how some, I hate using the term advocates for them, but I will because they call themselves advocates, are screaming to the rafters and to the moon and to the stars that the term substance use disorder was created to glamorize those who, to glamorize drug addicts, as they put it. And I take offense to that. I take a high amount of offense to that. I see it as people who have never experienced things in their lives, looking down on somebody who may have had some horrendous experiences. So that's really what kind of started all this. And I think it divides the community as well. I think when you have somebody on their high horse coming down on somebody else, it makes the person they're coming down on feel less supported, less loved, less cared about. And as an advocate, I don't see how you could why or how you would do that. So again, I'm not an advocate. I'm me, right? But I don't see how somebody could do that. Because they say it glamorizes. And I mentioned the other day in a video that I would share why it's particular to me. And I'll get it out. I did a video months ago where I talked about the abuse that I survived from my grandfather when I was a kid. And so I don't hide that fact anymore. If anybody needs to talk about that kind of situation, message me. I'll give you my phone number. We'll talk, one-on-one. I'd love to help any way that I can. And unfortunately, there's been study after study after study that shows there's an increase in risk of abusing to people who survived abuse when they were a child. Yeah. And I can cite the studies, and we'll get into some of these studies here very shortly. And I look at that from my point of view when this advocate or curator is calling me a drug addict, like I was going out buying stuff on the streets just to go out and catch a buzz and just have a good time at party. It's not how I approached it. I approached it at the age of 12 and 13 of trying to deal with what happened. Because I didn't do any, to cope. Thank you. I didn't know any better. I saw my dad and with he would go drink and have a good time. And that's what I mimicked. If it worked for him, it would work for me. And it worked for me. I didn't have to think about it for a while. Mm-hmm. And so for me, when I hear this advocate and this creator say that I treat it like I purposely went out and partied so much to where I had a physical addiction to something, that's wrong. To assume that's what I did, that's wrong. And I feel not only, I care that she belittles me, but I feel for the people who haven't shared their story, what happened to them, being beaten down once again. We talk about how it's atrocious that when ladies go to a doctor, especially the first time, y'all will get a survey and it'll ask if you had any childhood trauma, right? And then they use that against you to in ways to not treat the pain, because they'll say it's a mental issue, right? They abuse it to abuse, and I feel like this creator and this advocate is doing the same thing to an untold number of people in the invisible community. And that's why I wanted to speak up. That's why I'm very, very passionate about it. I didn't choose it.
Well, the American Medical Association debunked that in 1987. They classified addiction as a disease.
Right.
30 years ago. Like, what, 38 years ago now? Is my math right? Yeah.
You're asking about.
And then in the 50s, addiction was classified as a disease. So, yeah, the information's just wrong.
It is.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
And
it's just an ignorant way of thinking, because it is a disease. And if you're thinking otherwise, that it's just, you need to get up with the times and realize that it is a disease.
And it bothers me, and I can, if I cite some facts here and you want the studies I'm getting the facts from, message me and I'll send you the links for these studies. There are studies that show that survivors of this type of trauma in childhood, their brain, the trauma affects their coping sections in their brains and their reward system, reward areas in their brains. So when we have that going on, and then we're finding a substance that helps, you can only imagine what's going to happen in the long run. In my opinion, again, I'm not a doctor. I don't play one, right? And jokingly, I always say the only license I have is a license to drive a truck, drive a car in the state of Texas. But to take that experience that person has lived through and survived, and to just discard it, it's shitty. I don't know what else to say. It's because they didn't experience it. They're better than somebody is how I see it. And y'all, if I'm wrong, just throw it out there, because I said in my video, I always want to learn. And if I need correction, I need to be corrected. But I don't understand how that's an effective way to advocate for people when you're cutting a percentage of the population out. And it's the same way. I'm speaking for myself based on the experiences I had, but it's the whole side of the community that may be dealing with SUD. It's discarding them and literally saying, because they've said in their videos that they don't matter. That's the section of the community that doesn't need to get to have any treatment, because it's their fault. And how can we as invisible community members support that? I hope we don't in the long run. And I'm not here to change anybody's mind per se, but I maybe just pause and think.
Yeah.
And I'm going to drink some Gatorade and maybe light a cigarette. So you two talk amongst yourselves for just.
Well, I
I
was
mean,
gonna
am I
say,
making sense? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, but I
very
was
much
also
so.
gonna say with like trauma and stuff, I mean, our brain isn't fully formed until we're like 23 or something, right? So it's like,
26 in women and 25 in women, 26 in men. And that's if you don't have any trauma or substance use prior to that.
yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, your brain is forming in those formative years. So it's like, I mean, for me, common sense is that if you have a traumatic pattern or history, that's gonna affect the way you process things and how you cope and what you look for. And like, if you find something that makes all of that go away and makes you feel better and to forget about the trauma, like, I mean, my common sense is that, yeah, of course, you're gonna seek that out because you wanna forget what's been going on and what's happening. And like, your brain is still figuring stuff out.
and
So,
and and I know I'm talking my personal experience in my life, but what if you're? It doesn't have to be. I don't want to get. I'm trying to word this to where we don't get flagged already. Um, CSA. What if it was like a bad accident or something horrendous happened to your parents and that type of trauma, right? It could be something like that. And by saying you're just an addict and you don't matter, your story, just go away. Um, I don't get. I don't get the level of narcissist that is that, or the level of cold heartedness that is. And again, challenge me, please, if I'm going off base.
It comes from treating people with any sort of use addiction, alcohol use addiction, substance use addiction, as subhuman, comes from an incredible place of privilege where you haven't struggled with it yourself or have known anybody personally that has also gone through the same. It is not something that anybody chooses, and that is something I want to drive home tonight, is that substance use, alcohol use is not a choice. It is a disease of the brain.
It is.
yeah, and
And
nobody chooses that. Nobody, like, I mean, in a perfect world, we all had a perfect childhood and had nothing traumatic happen to us. But, and if you have lived that life, I mean, I envy you. I had trauma in my past, but thankfully I didn't turn to certain substances. But I totally get how people do. I mean, just like you said, it's a privilege to come from that place. Just to not have experienced that is just a privilege that not many people have.
no, no. And like I said, I'm not here really to have somebody make a 180-degree turn. I'm just here to try to explain my take on it. And so possibly if somebody's watching this and you hear an advocate just say, oh, they're just a drug addict, I'm not going to glamorize them. Fuck, I don't want to be glamorized. I don't want to glamorize what happened to me, you know? Maybe just think for a pause for a second and try to figure out what they're actually saying. Are they making a point, or are they just blame shifting? Are they trying to discard a part of the community? And then you can do with it what you want. For me, when I hear people that I feel are blatantly wrong, their credibility drops a little bit, and that's why I try to be an open book on this platform and with my messages and giving my phone number out like I have, is because if I say something that offends somebody or doesn't make sense, or they can reach out to me, because I want nothing more than an invisible community, chronic pain, mental health. That's why when Amy, we've talked about this before, I have to have definitions in my life for my brain to work. And that's why I specifically included mental health in my definition, right? Is because we fight the same battles. And I want this community to be able to come together to love and support and to help educate and to give tips and to so we can all be better.
Yeah.
You know, and I know that sounds grandiose and that sounds like, oh, that's a great story, good luck with that, you know, but that's really what this is. And when I hear people talking like this, it drives me nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me nuts.
So you said it in the title that words matter, and this is why. When you think of the word addict, what connotations does that bring up? Is it the nurse stealing from Pixis? Is it the teenager stealing from grandma? Is it somebody shooting up? Is it the homeless person under a bridge drinking out of a brown paper bag? Or would you see someone like me, who is highly educated, employed at a extremely stressful, high-profile job, with a husband and a house and 2 kids? Because I'll say it out loud, I'm an open book, but my name is Lauren and I am a recovering alcoholic. I have been in recovery since 2020. So this is why substance use disorder and any sort of use disorder is near and dear to my heart. When you call somebody an addict, that is, one, incredibly stigmatizing them, and 2, it reduces their entire identity down to a problem that they suffer with. And I could say, oh, Mike, you're a heart attack, you're overweight, you didn't take care of yourself, your diet's shit, it's your fault. Like, that's the same thing, and that's not fair, right? But yet we allow it to happen to people that suffer with substance use, because as a society, we still consider it a moral failure rather than a disease. And when I've seen some of these videos, trust me, I saw red, because the information is incredibly damaging to to a community that already doesn't seek help right away because of the shame and the guilt and the stigma associated with it. And so when you have people with big platforms basically telling you that you're a piece of shit for making the wrong choices, it prevents people from seeking help even further. That's what breaks my heart.
Yeah. It does. And instead of people seeking help or openly talking about what's going on in their lives, it drives me back into my bedroom with the doors shut, dark room, right? Isolation. When nobody knows isolation. Nobody knows what's going on, you know? Yeah. And how can we be at this invisible family, invisible community, if we're not loving somebody that's having a heart, that's dealing with an issue in their life? You know, I don't get it. And that's my prayer for this community, is that we are able to accept the person, accept the whole person, you know, and, you know, love them, you know, and not try to go at it with this holier than thou attitude, or this I'm better than you are attitude. And because it can do so much damage. And like I said, mine, I just chose the CSA side of it, but there's, you know, Lauren, you messaged me early today, you know, just being a pain patient itself can be a trigger to a risk factor for substance use disorder, right?
Pain is a known risk factor for any sort of addictive behavior, whether that's food or alcohol. Alcohol is the biggest one in any sort of pain community. Nicotine, gambling, shopping, those are all compulsive behaviors that are the same compulsive behaviors as people with alcohol or, say, substance use disorder.
And I think that's great, because I love how you mentioned the food addiction, because I've known people who've battled food addiction, and well, food is a substance. So when this person is saying that SUD glamorizes drug addicts, chocolate cake and ice cream, or whatever, the overeating, whatever they choose, I guess that's a drug to them. You know, does that make sense? I mean, because that's what they're tying them into. Yeah, you know.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think when people think of being an addict or whatever, they automatically go to drugs and alcohol. But, you know, you are right. I mean, the shopping, the gambling, the overeating are just as harmful as, because it's an addiction. It's the dopamine that you're looking for, and it is addiction. And so I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think people automatically go to those two substances, but it can be a wide range of things that somebody is addicted to that is harmful. And you just, you know, for somehow I think those things are kind of not looked down upon. It's like, oh, well, it's okay, you know, just stop gambling, or just don't go to Amazon, don't go to Target, you know, whatever. But it's like, if you have an addiction with alcohol or drugs, you are this horrible person that is like a thing to society. But it's all in the same umbrella.
Yep.
So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I was thinking about that earlier, about how an addiction is an addiction no matter what the substance is.
And the only person that can call me an addict is myself.
Right.
Because I had to make that determination for myself. Substance use disorder is a clinical term that encompasses not just physical dependence, because people on opioids, like myself included, we are physically dependent. That's just a normal physiological response to being on them. So substance use disorder now has like 11 different criteria. And if you meet X number, then you qualify as potentially having it. It's not a rubber stamp. And again, when you just say that, oh, that clinical term is glamorizing, call bullshit. Like, sorry. And if anybody else were to call me an addict, like especially a stranger on the internet, and I'm not going to mince words with this, I would say get fucked. Like, sorry.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know, I love how you said that you saw red earlier, because it's funny, because I told you I was seeing red the other day in a message, and you were like, stop that. Don't let them get to you.
I know. I did. I didn't take my own advice.
We're all bad about that.
Because I saw red too. And it just infuriated me that it's the dividing wedge. This side gets good care, this side I don't care about. I don't understand that. When we're all fighting, don't take this personal, we're all at times have fought bad doctors, we fought bad pharmacists, don't be mad at me, please don't be mad at me. Bad nurses, bad hospitals, bad ERs, and all this stuff like that, whether we're mental health, chronic illness, or chronic pain. That's what ties us together, is this shared experience, right? And because somebody has the SUD, use disorder issue, doesn't mean that they're not sharing the same experience when they go to the ER, or they have a doctor that craps on them, right? In fact, it adds even more challenges, because we have to prove, you know, that we can be responsible, you know? I mean, I tell Valerie, it's been so long when I finally went through and came out in this. One day, I shared the story with you, Amy, about how I came out of this therapy session and I just vomited all this garbage from my granddad. But that was, I don't know, Valerie can correct me, 12 years ago, 15 years ago maybe. And but to this day, with my pain meds, I tell Valerie when I take one, I write it down, a dry erase on the refrigerator, the times I take my meds. I religiously count my pills to make sure that I'm behaving like I need to behave. I'm hypervigilant.
You know yourself. Is that accountability to yourself?
Yeah. And it's also, honestly, it's a little bit of fear.
Yeah.
If I come up and I'm like 12 pills, it's like, what the fuck have I been doing? Right? Mm-hmm. And I'm hyper vigilant about it. And that's why I protect myself. When I can't get my scripts and stuff, that's why I get so upset, is because I'm that protective. Because I know I'm blessed that I can get treatment, and my doctor sees me as a human, and he trusts me. he P-tests me once a month, right? And I have no problem with that. In fact, he's like 2 hours away from me. My agreement with them, a separate agreement, a little addendum to my pain contract. He can call me, and I have 24 hours to get to the local Quest to take a P-test.
Mhm.
Out of my own pocket, I have to pay for that test. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I am. That's his level of trust. I want to make sure he knows that I'm respecting him, right? But I want the community. God, my prayer is that we just take a step back, and when we hear that they're just addicts, that they're not anything, to say they're human. They can. I don't want to. I would say maybe not think of put my ugly mug in your face, in your brain, but pick somebody and say this is a human being that lives this, and he's not. He is kind of crazy and he is kind of mouthy, but at the same time he's human, and try to figure out what their point is instead of just taking that as gospel, because it's not fair. We're all human. And I want to add.
Oh, I'm sorry, Keith.
I was going to say, I want to add one more thing that is an interesting take on, you mentioned the homeless person on the streets with them drinking out of a bag. I worked on the streets in Vegas for 4.5 years with homeless. I was out there 6 days a week, right? I mean, feeding several times a week. I can't tell you how many rolls of toilet paper I gave away in 4.5 years. But and this is another thing that bothers me when they say that when they use the term, when it glamorizes. If I'm on the streets and living that life, damn straight I'm going to try to find something occasionally to take me away from it. These people, nobody understands what these people go through in a lot of situations. And I don't agree with a lot of the usage that goes on. We carry Narcan with us, God forbid, if we had to use it, right? But you have to experience that lifestyle to understand why some of this stuff happens. And I hate it. I hate it for them. But that doesn't make them any less than a person. And
I even want us, within the community, to challenge ourselves to be better, because I was thinking through the amount of comments that I receive from people saying, my doctor, my pharmacy treats me like an addict.
Yeah.
That comes from a place of fear. That comes from a fear of judgment. But yet when you say that, you don't understand that in itself is judging and stigmatizing people that struggle with the disease.
Yeah.
So it's just something to consider.
Yeah, that's true. Like you said earlier, and the title of this was Words Matter.
Words matter.
The words you choose. I mean, words can, I don't know what the saying is, but words cut deep, and you have to be careful sometimes. And I think, I'll be honest, I've said that before, but the more educated I got on the subject, it's it's just judging somebody, because what does that mean to be treated like an addict?
Exactly. What does that mean to people?
What does that mean? What does that mean to you? And I'm just so reframing that and being you know what? No, we're going to be careful of the words we use, because me saying that innocently could really hurt somebody else, unintentionally. And I think, I don't know, words matter.
Words matter.
They do.
I'm not to say that anybody's done anything wrong. It's maybe just to point a mirror at the biases we don't even realize that we have.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is that I love so much about this community is that I'm learning stuff all the time. And, when Keith and I were talking about this topic tonight, I was I'm so excited to sit here and listen to you guys and hear your story and your take on it, because I don't have a history of that. I didn't use substances. I took a different route that was maybe a little, I think, similarly unhealthy. But, I'm interested to learn, because I may have biases that I don't know about. And the thing I love about this community is that we can learn so much from each other, and just hearing each other's stories. And if we're putting each other down, people aren't going to share their stories.
And then how do you make connection?
Right.
Yeah. And like I said, put a face to it. Put a face to it. It's easy to demonize when you don't see it, when you don't know someone or you don't have the lived experience. And maybe knowing now that you can put a face to it and realize, when these are, well, at least one of them is a productive member of society. I don't know about me, but and they're going forward every day, right? And I think that's hopefully what another thing we can accomplish tonight is to take that stigma down a notch. So,
my alcoholism didn't start until my 30s. I probably had addictive behavior throughout my life, but I always had this hole inside of me that I felt just kind of empty. I couldn't fill it. So I filled it with accomplishments. I filled it with jobs. I filled it with the alphabet of letters that I have behind my name. And when that finally wasn't enough, that's when I started drinking wine on a regular basis. And within 2 years, it got to the point where I could no longer make a choice in what I was doing. It was a compulsion. I had to do it. And like I said, on the outside, the externals looked picture perfect. Job, house, kids, whatever. But inside, I was a mess. And I am incredibly grateful that I've gotten to the other side of recovery and that I've been here, being in my 5th year now. I'm still a baby in recovery compared to some people, but I feel secure enough to tell people that I had a struggle with it, and I'm not embarrassed. I'm not ashamed by it because it doesn't have to define who I am. And the other side of that is that the people that I have met in recovery that I would not have met otherwise are some of the best, most hardest working people I've ever met. People that work on themselves every single day to be better tomorrow than they were today. And that's something that I don't see in normal society.
No, I mean, I don't know. I don't consider invisibles being normal because we all have obviously some kind of condition, right?
True. Yeah.
But I see a lot of us accomplishing things that people in normal society couldn't accomplish.
Oh yeah, very much.
Because I was having a conversation with Jennifer the other day, and I got to the point I'm like, well, what do I do? What do you do now? And you just put your head down and you keep going forward. And I don't see people in real society being able to accomplish some of the stuff. I had a gentleman he tagged me in a video of him learning how to walk again with a prosthesis up to his hip. That takes putting your head down when you don't want to have to do anything and do it, right? And that this community is full of people who are doing that.
You're 100% right. Yeah.
And when you add in dealing with SUD on top of that, because we don't have the ability to go home and have that wine or whatever, and we have to find different coping skills now and arm ourselves a little bit different. It's the only thing that really separates. I mean, there's a lot. I guess not the only thing that separates us, but that's one of the things that separates us.
I wonder, why is there this division, substance use and chronic pain? Because rather than fighting each other, we need to fight a common enemy. We need to work together to fight a common enemy, and those are fighting against diseases that we didn't ask for and we can't control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or policy or whatever. Across the board it needs reform, but the division between the two keeps both groups powerless.
Mm-hmm.
Combine us together, that's a lot of people that can make a really positive impact.
Yeah, and you're right. It needs to, and that's why the dividing the group off into excluding this group for this reason and excluding this group for this reason, or you know, it, it it's missing the bigger picture that if we stick together, we can probably accomplish a lot more than having a smaller, perfect group over here, right? But that's maybe one day, right? Maybe one day we'll be able to convince narcissists to get off their high horse. And
Whoa.
I don't.
That's a hard bargain. I don't know. That's a lofty goal right there. Narcissists are a different breed of people.
So I came across something today that I would like to share, if that's okay.
Sure.
This is not a unique thought. This is by Dr. Jess. She's on TikTok as Dr. Jess, PhD, RDN. She said, that's how predatory wellness works. Step 1, erode trust in science. Step 2, make a fear-based post with misleading or outright false claims. Step 3, sell a product or service to fix the problem. And step 4, get praise from people who won't fact check because it confirms their own biases.
Jiminy fucking Christmas. You just described it. Can you send that to me? Can you
Yes. I literally came across it like 90 seconds before I logged on, and I was like saving this forever. So.
Yeah.
Because that's man, we could do a whole episode. We could do a whole live for like 4 hours and talk about that, because that is going on. That
predatory
is one,
wellness.
and it's always negative. It's always negative and scared and fear tactic. And oh my God.
That's so good. The fear mongering is what drives me absolutely nuts. Is that if I see a post of somebody that's just straight up fear mongering, just for the sake of it,
Yeah.
I'm like, can you just go somewhere else? Like, why are you on my FYP, first of all? Second of all, like, go away. Like, how do you sleep at night? That's what I want to ask them. Like, how do you sleep at night knowing that you're just out here inciting fear in people who don't know any better?
Yeah.
Because, there's millions of topics that I am not well versed in, that if you were to tell me something just off the wall crazy, why wouldn't I believe you? Until I go research it and figure it out. It is just like, ugh, makes me want to strangle them.
And if you say something confidently enough, people believe it is truth.
Right.
And that's what can be dangerous. Not saying like this particular organization, but just in general. Like, you say something, you can say something completely false confidently enough, and people will believe you.
Yeah. And we can't lose the fact, like Susan said in the comments, we just want relief.
Yeah.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's what we want.
That's what we want. While we have you here tonight, there's because it fits in with what you just went down, and the fear tactics. One of the big topics that's dangerous to talk about on this platform is buprenorphine, or the sabak, that word, right? Because there are a lot of stories where the oral version has caused bad things I'm going to say horrendous things in people's lives, because they didn't understand or were sold a bill of sale about something, and it wasn't true. From teeth to jaw to difficulty coming off of that, right? I heard a creator the other day tie in cancer to it, right? We don't even know if it doesn't cause cancer. And I went,
bullshit.
yeah,
Sorry.
It is. I mean, I saved that video, and I went and I started researching. Dr. Google, right? And I pulled up numerous NIH studies, and it's not true. When I read the studies, it took my time. I'm Googling terms to figure out what this means in the study. I'm putting it into ChatGTP. I'm putting it into Grok and saying, please summarize this stuff for me, right? To make sure I'm not missing it. It doesn't. But we get, as SUD gets stigmatized, so does this medication. And it is not a blanket answer to people. And doctors who are pushing it for the wrong reasons are wrong in doing it. I'm not disputing that. I don't approve of how a lot of it's pushed onto the pain community. However, at the same time, I hate the fact that it's always a blanket no. It's always
You
a
mean from like
blanket
other
no.
people in the community?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
advocates, it's always a blanket no.
Hmm.
And again, it's cutting a certain part of the group, part of the community out, because there are people in the community that's their only resource.
Hmm.
And there's people in the community that have been on it that it worked, and it worked well. And by scaring people and telling them that, well, we don't know if it causes cancer, so you're saying you're in excruciating pain and this is your only hope, you're better off living in excruciating pain. How? How?
So,
How was that
so
besides?
buprenorphine would never be one. I would never use it like as a punishment. So,
Right.
say a patient failed a UDS. I would never use buprenorphine as a punishment. I would never use it as a first line agent or even a second line agent. However, there is plenty of data to support that some people respond extremely well to it, and that it's the thing that made the difference for them. Now, I do think that it is inappropriately prescribed, but I could say that about a lot of drugs.
Mhm.
And I do agree with you. I think the way that it's pushed is not necessarily appropriate. But do I think it has a place in pain management for some people? Yes. And so when we demonize it and we just spread all this fear around it, like we make those patients feel even more alone and isolated. Like they can't ask for help or talk about it or share their experience because people are going to come after them. And what are we doing to each other? Like that's not support.
It's not, and again, and that's why it's again, as part of this community, I really want people. I really feel that we need to celebrate the victory that somebody's found something that works for them. I'm 110,000% about researching, research. Is this whether it's a pain pump, nerve stimulator, if it's a medicine, is it a certain PT, is it the car you're going to buy, is it the area of town you're moving to? I don't care. Research it before you just dive into it. Don't take somebody's opinion as it's going to work, but then at the same time, don't take somebody's opinion that it's better off to suffer. I got a lady left a comment on one of my videos, and then God bless her, she called me today about this, and she was on the patch version for 15 years, and she said that if she had to go to the oral, knowing the damage it could do, she said I would have pulled every one of my teeth out because it worked for me. Because she's allergic to morphine and other types of pain medication. She can't take those. So this was her solution, and it worked. And
It makes me want to cry.
I know. And Shelly, you have the comment. You said I could use your name. I was like, thank you, thank you, because we can't continue to stigmatize. We can't. Yeah, the oral is a scary medication. It has a black box warning on it now, right? But if it works for somebody, God damn it, why can't we celebrate the fact that somebody's getting relief and getting help? Isn't that what we want in life? Is to have people be a little bit better, a little more successful? Or am I just crazy?
No.
I don't know.
No.
I think your heart is right where all of us need it to be honest. Like we need people like you that are just willing to say anything that you do to get relief is wonderful.
Yeah.
That's it. And
story, but that's the thing that like frustrates me the most is that, you know, these people like Shelly or other people who have had success with it, you know, and I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they may be less likely to share that on their TikTok because, I mean, people are mean.
Yeah.
People will come after you.
Yeah.
And, you know, thankfully, I don't have the give a fuck gene. I'll just say whatever I want. I don't really care what people think. But a lot of people do. And it's just, it makes me so frustrated that people, you have found something. They have been in chronic pain for years, and they finally found something that works and has taken their pain away. And they are too scared to share their experience because of what other people might say.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are people that have valid horror stories for taking the oral version of that pill.
Yeah.
Listen, I did not have success with it, but that's okay because other people might.
But it's not just the bube; it's nerve stimulators as well. They're not an answer for me. They are not. And for a lot of people, well, I'm just gonna say they're not blanket answers or blanket solutions for everybody in the pain community, because we're all different fingerprints. Excuse me, we're all different. But at the same time, for some people, they work. Now, varied degrees of working, your definition of working, mileage may vary with that, but they've worked. And but people, a lot of, and well, Amy, you are too, right? I mean, yours doesn't do great differences all the time, but it's helping some, right?
Yeah, but like right now, like I got it reprogrammed again, and it's working about 10-15%. And I'm happy with that because it was working 0% before.
Yep.
And I'll get it reprogrammed again here next month and hoping it'll get bumped up a little bit more. But like, to me, that was worth it because, these past 2 months when I've been in this flare and been in bedridden, I've been wearing that thing nonstop, and I will take the 10% of pain relief. I will take whatever I can get. So I'm thankful that I have it. Do I wish it worked more? Absolutely. But that's okay. I'm happy with that. And I'm happy that it works.
Again,
I have a DRG, which is FDA approved for CRPS of the lower limb. And I get about 50% with mine. I've tested it before where I've shut it off for a day just to see. And 0 out of 10, don't recommend doing that. But yeah, mine's about 50%. Granted, when I had it implanted, I was relatively young. I was healthy. I didn't have any comorbidities. So the complication rate for me was a lot lower. But I went into it knowing risks and benefits and realistic expectations. But anyway, Keith, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I want to touch on buprenorphine and substance use before we end.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, please do. Go ahead, because I don't want to forget.
Another part with demonizing buprenorphine overall as a drug is because I see a lot of people say that people who are on medication-assisted therapy for their substance use disorder are just trading one addiction for the other. And that is the most harmful, unfair thing to say. Because the data shows, especially I'm going to use heroin for an example, because that's one of the hardest things I can think of. People that get in recovery from heroin who are on Suboxone maintenance therapy have a 90% higher chance of staying in recovery than people without it.
Oh, wow.
It is effective. And so when we demonize the drug, again, coming from somebody who works extensively in the recovery community, hearing information like that online is just going to keep people in the shadows, keep people alone and isolated and not want to seek help. So anyway, That's all I have to say about that.
No, that's an incredible statistic. I mean, that's nuts. Too bad we don't know if it may or may not cause cancer.
I wish somebody could tell us.
I'm sorry. I just kind of came out.
Maybe you should be the snarky truck driver.
Maybe.
Oh, that'd be great. I don't think that pain management is done well a lot of the times. Like in terms of pain management prescribing, I could talk hours on why that is and what factors play into that. But I know that I speak about pain also coming from a place of privilege. I know we talked about privilege earlier, but I'm in an area where I have a multifaceted team. I get multimodal pain care. I have access. I have ability, I have the financial means and the social support. Like, I'm afraid for the people that still have to live in the shadows and doing it alone. Like, that's what I want, us to be able to lift those people up.
I, where I physically live, fight that. That's why I lived that with Lake Granbury Hospital System. 90% of the doctors in this area are affiliated with the hospital, so they follow the hospital guidelines. And that's why I'm driving 2 hours, is to get different care. And because this hospital system is anti-opioid, they are pro and device implantation, and that's what they do. And it doesn't make sense to me when cost-wise, I mean, yeah, doctors don't make as much money on a visit if they write a script, right, versus installing something, right? But for the insurance company, that's a lot less expensive than dropping the $15,000 to $20,000 off front to try to put something inside of me, right? So I don't get it. But that's a whole other. I'd love to have you on one night. We can talk about the failures of the pain society or pain management, and the decrease in pain management in this country versus the increase. It's like pain management's going down, but pain interventionist is going up, right? And that's, in my opinion, and I'd love to get yours one time, sooner or later, on the difference between a pain management and that's it. Like if you walk in and the doctor has Dr. Pena below that, stitched, embroidered in his cheap Dickies scrubs, Dr. Pena, pain interventionist, you're screwed. And it's just what it is. So, but one other thing I wanted to say about stigmas, BUP has a stigma, SUD has a stigma, nurse stimulators have a stigma, pain pumps have a stigma, and I'm going to tie it into my grand thing of life right now, the gold standard of care, right? Because they're not that magical pill that we are told by so many that is the gold standard. That there is no gold standard as a group. There's a gold standard for an individual. A pill may be the gold standard of medication, but it is not the gold standard, in my opinion, and I'm just speaking for me, that pill is not the gold standard for health care. I feel
That's beautifully said.
You have to treat the entire being. And while a pill will help, God bless the fact that I have a doctor that understands that. But I also have a doctor where I'm blessed. We've had long conversations about getting the extra PT, or can we try this therapy instead, to try to get the bigger picture, right? And I'm afraid, and this is another thing that scares me about going down that checklist of that type of medical stuff, is when you sell a pill or a type of pill as the gold standard, and if somebody finally finds a doctor that will bless them with that, and their life totally doesn't change.
Right.
Right.
Those are high expectations are set.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're feeling better physically, and we might be able to do a little bit more, but that doesn't necessarily remove the depression. It doesn't necessarily help us sit outside and get vitamin D. It doesn't help us go and then truly enjoy a date night with a partner. It doesn't, right? It helps alleviate some of it. I'm not discounting that. I am dependent on my meds, but we have to do our best to treat all of us, all of the being. And saying that by simply hitting that gold standard and convincing your doctor to get that gold standard for you, that's going to take away your problems. I cannot buy into that philosophy. So I'm going to be harping on that a lot, because we need to challenge that. I care about the person. I care about their relationship with their partner, with their dogs, with their neighbors. And yes, that pill can help with those relationships, but it's not gonna be the no, it's not the end all.
Yeah, it's not going to
So,
magically fix
sorry.
your life.
Yeah.
No.
No. I mean, I got on my horse there. I'm sorry.
No,
Oh,
I
it's
think,
really
you
just
know,
as
That
that.
was me.
yeah, and I think
You
something
know,
that I, was recently talking to somebody about is they were saying they're like, well, I take these medications and it's not helping. And I said, well, what else are you doing? And she goes, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, like, what else are you doing to improve your physical health, your mental health? Are you getting outside? Are you doing something that you enjoy? Are you like, I enjoy crafting. So, like, are you crafting? Are you doing something that makes you feel good? Are you spending time with your friends, your partner? Like, what are you doing? And she was like, well, no. And I was like, okay, well, let's, maybe think of some things that you could do. And I was like, listen, I get it's hard. I don't want to do anything right now, let alone hang out with friends or, go sit outside even. Like I forced myself to go sit outside today. But it's like if you're just taking a medication and expecting everything to get better, that's just not going to happen. Like I hate to break it to you, and I know it's hard, especially when you're in the throes of it. But forcing yourself to do things that you enjoy, even though I don't enjoy it right now, I know that I enjoy it. So I'm going to force myself to do it, and I'm going to force myself to get outside for some fresh air and some sun. And slowly but surely, it's not going to fix, the same day. I'm not going to feel magically better today. But slowly but surely, having a bigger approach of things you're doing, physical therapy, are you meditating or doing yoga or, something like that, I think is so important. And I need to take my own advice. I'll be honest, but I think having a big approach and doing different things is so important.
I'm seeing this in the comments, and Scissor Tail nails it. She says, we can only do things we enjoy if our pain is managed.
Right.
That's a given. That's a given. I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that at all. I'm not. I don't want to. If I've implied that's my point here, that's not it. That's not what I'm implying. I'm implying that that medication can be the gold standard of part of your program, because it will allow you to do more things. But it's up to us to follow through. It's up to me. Let me rephrase this, so I don't want to speak for anybody. It's up to me to do the secondary, third, fourth things to make sure. Like it's up to me to go walk around the circle in the neighborhood. Okay, because my pain is lower, that gold standard of that medicine allows me to go do that. I need to make sure that I'm doing that. It's allowing me to be able to be comfortable enough to drive the car to town to go to my therapy session and to sit through my therapy session. I need to stick with that therapy session again to address all of it, because if I don't, even if I have the medication, my depression is going to kick in, and then I lock myself in the bedroom and close the blinds and don't even let the dogs in, and everybody's like, oh shit, he's in a mood, leave him the hell alone, his hair's down, watch out.
Whoa.
Okay. And so says, yeah, please don't think that that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say it can be the medical gold standard, but it's not the healthcare gold standard that I think that I need. I need all of it, is all I'm trying to say. And while I froze that so I could save it, and now I have 49 new messages. I must have said
Well, I think you said it right.
Somebody mad.
It's considered the gold standard for pain as a blanket statement, but that is not a group decision. It's not a group statement. So while it might be the gold standard for pain, there's a lot that can go underneath that. Like, what's the gold standard for you individually?
And I think that's what I want to try to change the definition, is have people try to figure out and maybe come together as groups and try to figure out our own gold standard of what we need what we can approach our doctors with, and say, can we try X? Like, would you approve of me getting acupuncture? Somebody said that acupuncture helped them. I don't think it's going to really help sticking needles all in me, but maybe can my insurance will cover it. Can you write me a script so I can go get this stuff? And try alternative things. And I think if we approach our doctors with alternatives, I think we'll maybe get a better care out of everything in the end. And that's what we want, right? So, all right. I know I asked you for an hour and you gave me more than an hour, Lauren. So you don't have to stick around for the victories if you don't want to, but I just wanted to say thank you. You're a rock star. Thank you for being open and honest with everybody about your story and for spreading all the freaking knowledge, because I don't have it. And message me those bullet points, please.
Yes.
And because I think that is a God bless. I just about fell out of the chair because I'm like, check.
I'll send you the post. How about that?
Yes,
That'll work too.
That'll
work too.
I will tell, if people message me with questions, my background, I don't work retail. I never have. My entire 15-year career has been in a hospital setting. So I am familiar with pharmacy law, but I am not the pharmacist behind the counter counting pills. So I just want to be clear if people have expectations of what I can help with. I very knowledgeable about disease states and treatment options and things like that. But in terms of insurance issues, like, I'm not your girl.
Yeah.
So
got it.
Wanted to throw that out there.
Cool. Well, you have a great night. Thank you again for your time. And I'm sure we will be talking. And I really want to have you on again. Maybe we can talk about the pain management versus pain interventionist and some other things. Because I'd love to pick your brain about that stuff too. So have a good night, ma'am. You be safe.
Thank
okay?
you. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Trying to, there we go. Fantastic.
Love her. She always has something good to say. Always.
Somebody says we need to get Scissor Tail up here because she's like chomping at the bit, has a lot of good points that she to put out. So we're already along.
Hey, everybody. I saw that.
Kiddo.
I'm not sure what she's what point I made that was so great, but hi, how are y'all doing?
Hey.
You friend.
Doing good, I think. Best as could be expected. Thank you for coming just attending the live. I appreciate you. You are one of my number one people that I follow and I check in with. So,
oh, well, thank you. I try.
Because you know your stuff. So did I overstep my bounds tonight? Because you'll tell me.
No, absolutely not. I don't think so. No, I missed the first 10 or 15 minutes. So if you did it then, I missed it. But I don't think you did. I think you nailed it. Okay. My whole philosophy of advocacy has been that you have to meet the people where they are, whether they're an SUD patient or a chronic pain patient or both. Every single person on this planet deserves to have the right medical care done ethically, with respect and dignity. We cannot expect people to not be able to get pain medication for their pain just because something happened to them in the past and they developed SUD. Nobody chooses it, as we said. I think you had an excellent show today. I think this is a very good conversation that needs to be had. And I know one of the things that I wanted to say while I'm up here is that everybody's in a different place. When you're a chronic pain patient, we talk about going through the grief. One of the things that happens when we go through grief is we go through the anger. And it's very easy to get angry and to blame others for our difficulties in being able to get our medications. But with education, we can teach people where that really comes from. It comes from the DEA. It comes from the bias and the stigma of the doctors. It is never a patient with SUD's fault that my doctor won't prescribe me the medication that I need. It is never their fault. They have a disease just like I have a disease. My disease is different than their disease. My disease is not better than their disease. We just need treatment, that's all. And we all need different treatment for each thing because we're all so unique, physiologically, emotionally, mentally, everything. So it was a great show. Thank you. Thank you for speaking about this.
No, I don't mind bringing the tough stuff up because I want people to feel free to talk, and I want people to know that if they're fighting HED, or if they're on buprenorphine, or if they have a nerve stimulator and it works, that it's okay to express that feeling and express your story. And it hurts me when others demonize things that work for other people and put them down and make them feel less because what they use works. And I'll fight that battle till the day I'm gone. So
same.
Cool. Cool.
Competition.
Well,
like, just because you're in pain or it didn't work for you, like, we all, like, it should be, I'm happy that it works for you and that you're not in pain anymore. Like, hallelujah that you're not in pain anymore. Like, that's great. I don't want more of us. I want less of us. You know what I mean?
I do. Exactly.
It's like having it. How amazing is it that you found something that works for you? Like, how awesome is that?
Right.
I don't know why we can't all think like that. I guess to me, it's just like second nature. I'm like, of course I'm happy that you're not in pain anymore. Of course I'm happy you found something. But
see, that goes back to that list that Snarky read off.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole other life. So
that was a great list. We need to put that up somewhere where I can see it, because that was really good.
Well, she said that she would forward me the post, and so I will send it to you and anybody else that asks. I may stitch it or duet it or do something with it.
I was like posting.
I will definitely have it all over X and making sure certain people see it.
Thank you so much. I think that needs to happen. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. And
thanks for having me.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye. I love Zezatail. She is such a rock star. Her horses are the best. So I know we're late, but do we want to share some victories? Does anybody have any victories you want to get out tonight? Did you get a shower this week? Did you meet your unicorn? Did you have a good doctor's appointment? Were you able to get your meds? Because I know Advo's still fighting, I think, to get her meds. Did you learn anything this week? Did you accomplish anything this week? Did you have a date this week? Did your dog not poop in the bedroom again today? Amy says, I got dressed today. And y'all, if you're not following Amy and seeing what she's been going through lately, that is a major freaking achievement. Hallelujah. Zizzitel got outside. Valor said we survived the sub-freezing temperatures. Yes, I am outside today. This time last week, it was minus 12 this date last week. Hang on, somebody said... Brooke says she's having surgery in a week due to my awesome pain doctor. Hallelujah. I pray it goes well for you. Tasha, Victor completed my required CPR class today because I'm medicated. Hallelujah. Sarah adopted the best puppy. If you haven't seen it, go to Sarah's page. She has a good picture. Oh, it's the sweetest little thing. I'm missing all this stuff. Susan, I had to fight to get my meds, but I did get them. Hallelujah. Brandy, I know doctor would take me at the time I finally found one. He started me in. This is all great stuff.
Oh, I'm so jealous of you. He slept 10 hours last night. Oh, I'm gonna say I'm jealous. I have not been sleeping, and I'm so jealous of you. But I'm so glad you got sleep, because I know sleep is so important for us.
It is.
And so I'm so glad. I'm so happy that you slept 10 hours last night.
That is.
But I am jealous. I'm little bit of me is jealous.
That's living the dream right there. Literally living the dream. You know.
Oh man.
Right then it just happened. We just finally got restricted.
Because I said I was jealous.
I can't believe we went that far without getting restricted.
Yeah, you know what? It's
that's fine. Wait. Somebody said, wait, it won't scroll up. Christine, I got 5 months of laundry done, folded and put away. Now I'm dying. Holy crap. I've got like 5 loads piled on top of the bed that I don't want to go fold, and you did 5 months. Jiminy Christmas, that's huge. That is crazy. Wow.
You deserve 10 hours of sleep after that. I hope you get 10 hours of sleep.
Yeah. I think for me to get 10 hours of sleep, they'd have to put me in the hospital and knock me out. That's about the only thing I can do. So, great victories, great conversation with Snarky and you, and the comments tonight. And we had Sister Jill came up and she gave her incredible knowledge. We shared Shelly's story of being on buprenorphine for 15 years and was grateful to have it. We're slowly going to remove the stigmas, y'all.
We are.
And I am going to stay on my high horse about redefining the gold standard of healthcare for everybody, because I think it is like all of us, individual. Wow.
Yeah.
Miss Amy, you have any words of wisdom tonight? Because you are the. Oh wait, hang on. I got one more victory here.
Okay.
Amy says they canceled my biopsy. Oh, I got the hat tonight. Thank you, Ricky. Amy said they canceled my biopsies for tomorrow because my kidney functions improved.
Yay.
I take that as a big one. You know, that's huge. This is great. You know,
Scissor tail, we are going to change the world one person at a time. I believe it.
We are. And Moonchild, we do need to stop being invisible. That's my goal.
That is so
That's one of them. And the other one is to be like Joe and sleep for 10 hours straight.
For real.
So any words to wisdom? Because you are the wisdomness here in this group, in this screen.
I don't know about that. I feel like I was just a spectator tonight. I enjoyed this live so much. I feel like we got so much talked about and learned so much, and I just loved it. But always, thank you guys for being here. You guys are amazing. We had such a great turnout tonight. All the comments were so great. I just want to thank everybody. I do want to take a moment and just be selfish and personally thank you guys, because I, as some of you know, I have not been doing well lately and have been really fighting with the fact that I have felt like useless and not doing the best that I could, or not showing up to this community as well as I needed to. And I have had several people reach out to me just asking for advice or sharing their stories or sharing victories with me. And having that interaction and being able to feel like I'm helping somebody selfishly has made me feel so good this week. So I just encourage everybody to reach out to somebody else in this community, because you don't know what your message could do for somebody else. Lift them up. If you share a victory with somebody, or just ask for advice, or just reach out to them and say, hey, I'm thinking about you. I hope you're doing well, means the world to some people. And I want to say this community has been there for me this week, in the past couple weeks. And just selfishly has made me feel like I'm not a useless piece of shit, because I have felt like that recently. So I just selfishly want to say thank you for this community and all that you guys do. Even if you don't know you're doing it, you're lifting each other up and supporting each other. And it has meant so much to me. So
I want to say thank you to Miss Amy, and thank you to Snarky, even though she's gone, and thank you to Scissortail, and thank you to every one of you. You guys lifted me up tonight. It's been this past week with the water situation and the no toilet situation and the freezing and everything else going on in my life right now has been rough, but you guys have been my rock to lean on and have supported me and been there for me. And I thank you for this. If you need something from me, message me. I tell you again, email me, keithcpp@gmail.com. That's the fastest way to reach me, best way to reach me. If you want to join the Discord, message Dixie, Dixie Fireball, search for her real quick, and she will send you the link to the Discord. We're still wanting to do Painsomnia groups if people are interested, so reach out and we'll see if we can get set up. So other than that, y'all have a great night. And I really do hope with every fiber in my body that tomorrow is at least a little bit better for everybody. And until then, y'all, please be safe. We'll talk to you soon. See ya.